Hello all, this is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3, and in this particular video I want to talk about being a graduate school instructor. So if you don't know me, I'm a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. So what I wanted to do in this video is talk about some tips for being a graduate student and the first time that you actually become an instructor of some sort. So you're probably likely going to be teaching some undergrad. So I'm going to go into why that is in a second. So the key to actually doing a really good job with any sort of teaching, in fact it's probably with anything, is to sort of think of this as an apprentice model. So why do you actually want to teach? Or why are you forced to teach in your graduate school? Well, the key is that you are going to be doing this as part of your life going forward as a potential professor. So you need to get a little bit of experience at it, right? So you want to borrow this experience from other people that have done a really good job with teaching before. So the more that you can learn and the more material you can borrow from other people that are excellent teachers, the better off you will be. And the goal with teaching is thinking of it as kind of like a progression. It's just like research, or it's just like riding a bike or anything like that, right? So you want to start off, and generally you will be allocated to teaching a class of undergraduate students that are going to be within the area that you like to teach or the thing that you're interested in. And then you're going to work your way up into more difficult courses, right? So you're going to teach a undergraduate class of students that, and the reason why you focus on undergraduate students is because you have more knowledge than them, unless you are somebody that's got a lot of life experience and that can share a lot of stuff. You're going to be probably focused on undergraduate students when you first start out. It's just kind of a nice way to do it. And you really do get practice, and you need that practice before you jump into more difficult courses. And in fact, some graduate courses you're not allowed to teach because you don't have a PhD yet. As soon as you get a PhD, then you can teach some of those courses. It depends on the requirements that are, so for example, in business schools, there's AACSB accreditation that you need to get, and you are required to teach graduate courses. You need to have a PhD, or a certain number of people need to be PhDs that are teaching courses. It's just kind of what the requirements are. So generally you're going to teach a little bit, undergraduate courses just because you're going to feel more comfortable. It's going to be with an area that you're teaching or norm that you know a little bit, and then you're going to work your way up into more difficult courses as you progress. And, gradually, if you're in a business school, the most difficult courses, and it's really sort of a profit line for business schools, are executive MBAs and things like that. So that's going to be the most difficult, and you're probably going to have to do really well at teaching before you'll ever teach those particular people. And sometimes you get jumped up, you get pushed into those kind of classes, but that's a little bit daunting when you first start out. So generally most people don't let you do that at the beginning. So the reason why you are teaching again is because you want to gain sort of an apprentice and to learn that skill when you become a professor, or later on you learn a skill of how to actually teach and sort of interact with people. It is a skill that you learn. It's a little bit tricky, there's lots of things that you learn along the way. So the first thing that I would recommend in terms of tips for teaching going forward with you, I would think about borrowing as much material from other people as you possibly can. And what you want to do is maybe you get the lecture material from other people, all this detailed stuff, and you want to just go to a course or teach a course that somebody else is taught and borrow that material. And as you're teaching it and as you sort of progress, teaching it several times, you will then start to learn how to customize it and sort of make it feel like it's your own. So you're going to have to customize it a little bit at the beginning to make it feel more like like what you would do and how you would talk, but then as you continue to go on, you make it more unique and more different and more sort of customized with what you're doing and what resonates with you in terms of examples and things like that. And that is just to make it easy for yourself, because at the beginning you're not going to know the material that well, and you're going to get better and better as you do this. And you're going to start getting better examples and more interesting things, and know when you want to sort of digress on different things, and it becomes a lot more fun of a learning experience. And that's really what you're trying to do, right? So another really great tip that was passed on to me actually not too long ago, and it's made a difference for me, is to plan out and to do all of your course teaching sort of prep before the semester. I used to actually sort of do it as I'm building it out and teaching the course. And the problem is with that is you spend a lot of time actually prepping and doing all sorts of, you just do a lot of time focusing on doing the teaching component of your career. And as you know, you should be spending the vast majority of your time doing research as much as you possibly can, and the teaching is sort of a component of it that's important, but that's not the thing that's going to get you a job and get your foot in the door. The way that normally hiring happens is that you are hired to fit a particular need or gap that happens, but they hire you based on the research that you're doing and the things that you're doing. And that really requires publications or potential publications that are well on their way. So it's important to not lose sight of that and to cram all of your teaching preparation as much as you can into a couple of weeks. If it's the first time you've done it, it's probably going to take you a month or so to do the teaching preparation, to get it all ready. It just does. It's really difficult. Even if I'm teaching the same course over and over, it still takes me a couple of weeks to go through it and to make sure that the syllabus is right, and just doing all that kind of stuff. It does take a lot of time, so just be prepared for that. And to condense that all at once, you'll definitely thank me if you do that, because it becomes a lot more of your executing rather than you're building it as you are teaching it when you do this at the beginning. It really does make a difference. There are times, and I guarantee it, that you are going to lose students along the way, and they're just going to lose disinterest in you. There's always a proportion of students that are going to be disinterested in the material. They're going to be really excited at the beginning, and then they just lose interest with what you're teaching. But sometimes you actually lose the entire class, and that does happen. That's happened to me a couple of times. It happens to everybody. Every once in a while, you just lose the entire class. And, if that does happen, what you should be thinking about is how to actually invest in your course so that it doesn't happen again, and keep building at it. Think of it as a learning experience. So you're building a capability or a skill set so that you actually get better as you continuously go. Try not to worry about it. I know you're going to worry about it when you actually have these bad experiences. They're awful. For everybody, they're really challenging, but you just have to keep working at it and keep pushing forward, right? A lot of it, so when you first start, the first course that you teach, and this is just something that I've picked up on and noticed, first course that you teach, it really depends on your personality and what's going to happen in terms of the outcome of the course and how the students are going to resonate with you. In teaching evaluations, you try not to pay attention to them as much as possible. So pay attention to the things that are key and the things that you can change and that are important to the course. But there's always going to be negative ones. There's always going to be positive ones. And you just have to sort of process it and make sense of it, right? So what you want to do is think about how to develop your course and develop you as a person, as a teacher, and that's a little bit tricky. You have to sort of filter that going forward. And so what you want to think about with teaching in the first time you're teaching is it's really largely going to depend on your personality. So if you have the right personality, you're probably going to do well and the first time you teach, and maybe you keep doing well in the future. But often you will get really bad courses, or it just won't fit, right? And you just have to take that as for granted and know that you have to continue to develop it. Now, if you're the type of personality it's not going to resonate at the beginning, I know a lot of people that have worked at it and they're teaching evaluations and the course, and how people sort of love them as an instructor has changed dramatically by this investment with what they're doing. And so you could do this. You could just have to keep investing at it and making it better. Find out where the sticky parts are with what you're doing in the material, and then continue to refine it and make it better and make it just more presentable, more fun, more interesting. Focus on that and see how they're resonating with what you're doing. The students are resonating with what you're doing. And the last thing, I think this is really important, is just make sure that you're reinvesting in the teaching as you're going. So you don't want to teach that much when you're a graduate student. Try to reduce that as much as possible. So you're teaching on, or you're doing your research. But whenever you're teaching, try to invest a little bit every single semester. I kind of have a rule or a strategy where I try to invest and improve my course by 10 to 20% every single semester. And it really does make a difference over the semester and over multiple courses. It does get better. And there is a gradual improvement at that, right? So you become a better instructor, a better teacher, and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, the course gets better and it starts to resonate with more people. So hopefully this makes a lot of sense, and it really resonates with you in terms of why you should teach. And, being a first-time instructor, it's scary. We've all been there. What I used to do, this is how bad it was, I would actually rehearse my entire lecture before I actually taught it every single time. And I did that probably for the first year. It was really scary for me. I was really nervous. I still get nervous talking in front of people, but it does get better. And just continue to invest in it, continue to build it out, and you are going to get better. So what this video detailed is, I went into why teaching is important for you as an as a graduate student, what courses you're going to typically sort of focus on, and then I gave you some tips to build these out going forward and to become a better instructor as a graduate student as you continue to build this out. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll try to be as helpful to graduate students and PhDs and all those kind of people around the world as much as I can. All right, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.